Good morning, everybody. You know, we have limits. God has given us limits. Life has given us limits. Our own makeup has given us limits. And they're healthy. They're good for us if we can understand them and stay within them. You know, where God told Adam and Eve, He says, you can eat of any tree of the garden except the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He put a limit on them, and the particular limit was a limit on knowledge. Like, we don't need to know everything that we can know. And they say a wise person isn't someone who knows all he can know, but knows all that he should know. And then God said, on 6 days you shall work, and on the seventh day rest from all your labor. God worked in 6 days. And the seventh day he rejoiced, he delighted in all that he had created. And he says the same to us. 6 days we should work, and on the seventh they work. There's a quote, I think it's Thomas Merton is the person who wrote it. He says, there's a violence we do to ourselves by too much activity, by overworking. The rush and the pressure of the modern day life. We allow ourselves to be caught up in a multitude of too many commitments, too many demands and projects. To help everyone in everything is to give into a kind of violence to our soul, and it kills the very inner root of wisdom from which all fruitfulness comes. So, there's an idea. We live in Mumbai, and it is a fast city, and you can be going non-stop, but there is a kind of a part of life that is a replenishing, like the soil. The idea of the Sabbaths, where Sabbath year, if you remember, 6 days work the land, the seventh year let it rest, and it replenishes the soil. And the idea is similar for us, that we replenish ourselves by stopping in God and to do those things. And he says in that seventh year he'll bless the sixth year, that it produces double. Somehow it produces double when you leave this soil, and he'll produce double that way. And not only so, but the soil from then on, the new fruit that comes out, will be a more enriched fruit and enriched crops because of the regaining of the nourishment of the soil. Same as for us. The whole idea is that our own body, our own soul gets replenished and renourished by stopping and by resting in the Lord, and by delighting in the good things that God has given to us, in every good and perfect. To delight in life, to delight in those things, but somewhere to stop and make margins. That there has to be some margins. And I've been saying this recently. It's really something I'm thinking a lot. You can go at 80%, you can go to 100%. Some people go to 120%, packed, overloaded. Sure, you can do it for a short period of time, and sometimes that's what emergencies call us to do. But if life is a constant, an emergency, you will be an emergency, I will be an emergency, a constant emergency. Actually, the word of the year, there's a word of the year, it's called permicrisis. I think it's Oxford Dictionary or one of the Cambridge, they all have these words of the year, but it's permicrisis, a permanent crisis. The world is in a permanent crisis, and people kind of like absorb that as they absorb the media and absorb all that's going on. And but we need margin. Like an 80% capacity gives a little bit of room, because life has. They say that there's three kind of ways of an event, of something that you do. Take anything that it is, especially some good event, but even a small event. A meeting you have with somebody, a friend, a bigger thing, a college graduation, you are going on a vacation, you are going to a conference. It has this first aspect is anticipation, then there's participation, then there's contemplation. One, you're anticipating, you're thinking ahead of the event, you're kind of savoring it, looking forward to it, hopefully with a good looking forward to it rather than an anxiety. So there's an anticipation. Then there's the participation. You're in the actual event, the graduation, the time with your friend, or the conference. And then afterwards, the contemplation. You think back on it, how it went, and what you said and what you did, and how the whole thing went. And all three of them together make up the event. The event is made up by the anticipation and the contemplation on it, as well as the event itself. All three of them make up the reality of the event and make up your experience of it. And like if everything is rushed one upon another, one upon another, one upon another, it's very hard to have much anticipation in the event. It's very hard to have much reflection or contemplation on what you did, because you're right onto the next thing. And sometimes it's quite hard to be present in the actual event and to really enjoy the participation, because we're, packed. So, I think we'll finish with this, and it's a little illustration Pastor Shallow often gives, and he says, there's the towel, the table, and the closet. The towel is the service. It is where Jesus took the towel and put it around his waist and washed the disciples' feet. Serving people, serving your family, serving in your workplace, serving the community, serving the church. Our work and our service, it's a very important part of life. And then there's also the closet. You go alone, shut the door, pray in secret. Your Father, which sees in secret, will reward you openly. And then the table, you come together in fellowship, and at a table like Jesus with the 12 disciples. We come together at our Bible classes, our Bible studies, our prayer meetings, our church gatherings, our church picnics, whatever they be, their conferences, and we come together, and they are wonderful times. But actually, that gathering together is enriched by the closet of each individual person. Everybody brings to the table something, and we can bring our emptiness, and we can bring our rushedness. Of course, we know that, excuse that word, but we can bring our fullness, and also we take from the table back to the closet, and it enriches the fellowship, enriches our lives. And which of them suffer the most? But all three, it's like a three-legged stool. You need all three for the thing to be balanced, like a tripod. You need all three legs. You need the service, you need the fellowship, and you need the private devotion. So we have limits. God put limits on us. They're healthy. Embrace the limits. We don't have to do everything that we can do. We don't have to know everything that we can know. And it's a wonderful thing to just say, God has given us a block of time, a day, a portion of time in the day, where we can be with God. And in that time, God replenishes us for the rest of the day. And actually, I'm sorry, I'm going on a little here, but that little stopping in the day replenishes us. But some people have found that by the time 12 o'clock comes, the early dew of morning fades away at noon, the hymn says. And some people have said if they can stop a minute in the day, just reset the compass again, re-practicing the presence of God. I know they're unusual statements, but and those things, not doing everything we can do, not taking every opportunity that is set before us, not accepting every demand that is put upon us, not doing everything we can for everybody all the time, but stopping and resting in the Lord. Okay? Amen.